Time to upgrade your music from Virgin to Chad.
This shit's weak! Lizzie!
That's right, we're going to explore more of your latest requests and recommendations for underground metal bands on Bandcamp, and we are starting with Origin of Infinity with After the Slumber. A little genty, a little chuggy. Ooh. If you're new here, by the way, I jump around music. This is meant to just give you a little taste, get you want to check these bands out on your own. Okay, juicy grooves, kind of progressive death metal, deathcore in the tags too. Very Meshuggah-y. Oh, those are tasty. Good atmosphere too. There's some cool like backing elements. There's also reminds me a lot of Omega Diatribe, which went from being kind of like an obscure underground band I discovered to being one of my favorites. One of the ones that I always check out when they come through. Good balance here of like there's some technical aspects at play, but there's also just like this kind of familiarity that's very comfortable. Good balance that like, I think could bring in some new listeners, but also and convert them. Ooh, that's fun. A little start-stop groove there. That's great. Got some soloing going on here. Production's pretty solid. This sounds pretty rad. When did this come out? October 23rd. Just last month. Yeah, definitely something I'd be interested in digging into more. I think if I'm giving one piece of feedback, and it's a pretty mild, nitpicky one, I feel like maybe playing with a little bit more variety in the vocals, but I mean, it works for Meshuggah to not do that, so, you know, you don't have to. I think they're sufficient, just based on what I'm checking out here. This is a really interesting artwork, isn't it? Yeah, cool. Little taste of Origin of Infinity out of Desin Chechia. Very cool. Alright, next up we've got Agonal Breathing with Bloodthirsty Mutilation. I'm guessing we're going brutal death metal slam. I think they did mention slam in the email. This artwork screams slam too. Oh, interesting. We got like a trap beat to open this thing up. I wasn't expecting that. Okay, here we go. Out of Kansas. As I say, Midwest brutal, something like that. Brutality. Oh, it's got that like really tight snare. Ooh. Oh god, it's gonna be those kind of vocals, huh? That's what we're doing here. You know, I know some people love that. It can be fun in small doses for me. But when it's the whole album, it starts to grate. I think the one exception is Wormed, which I'd argue is even a little different. They're definitely building this, like, very imposing atmosphere, though. Those croaky ones, man. They just come like... Ugh. I can't even begin to make that sound, so credit where it's due. It all just kind of makes me laugh, though. Because it's just so... it's so revolting. I love it. Got some decent, like, dynamics on display here, though. So I'm not laughing at the music by any means. Like, there's some impressive qualities here. The production's a little... leaves something to be desired. And it's not even so much that, like... I like raw production. This feels like it's like peaking the audio. Or it's like over... something's a little off. So, some work could be done there. It's just... I can't not laugh, I'm sorry. It's so hard. Very revolting. No, I'd be interested to sit through this the whole way through. I'm like always trying to sort of challenge myself to change my biases on certain genres, and I'm hearing some things that are compelling to me. So yeah, that is Agonal Breathing with Bloodthirsty Mutilation. Then we have Reaping Flesh with Reaping Flesh. Another kind of interesting cover. Logo becomes the goat's face. These guys are out of Norway. Kind of a, what is this, like blackened hardcore kind of vibe I'm getting right now. Yeah, hardcore, trash. A little crusty. It's crust in the tags too, yep. Yep, nailed it. Those classic D beats. I feel like this is something that Fenris of Darkthrone would appreciate too. Does Fenris still do that little like recorded quote-unquote like radio show where he like plays underground stuff? I thought that was really cool. I wish he had more of a like forefront platform to do that. So if anybody has the cred to talk about underground shit, it would be him. God, I love those D-beats. Again, I've said many times, it's my cheat code. Send me something with D-beat on it, chances are I'm gonna enjoy it, regardless of what it is. Production, I think, works pretty well for what they're doing here. I feel like it could have a little bit more oomph, a little bit more space. I don't know exactly how to define that. Like, I almost want to hear, like, more of the room that they're in, if that makes sense. It feels a little bit flat. Ooh. Oh, I like that. Reminds me of, like, an early Tribulation riff. Okay, this is the best song so far, easily. Yeah, this is my type of jam right here. When did this one come out? On the 11th. Yeah, pretty rad. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's always hard to give feedback on something in this style, because it's like they shoot for a particular target and usually they hit it. It's just a matter of, can you do it better than anyone else to the point where you get noticed. But yeah, I'm into it. I'd dig me some crust. I have to be in the right mood, but yeah, cool stuff. Reaping Flesh, Reaping Flesh. Alright, then we have Vægtløs with Kakofoni, which I'm curious if that actually translates to the same word in English. If you're not familiar with the word cacophony or cacophony, it's like dissonance, like a chaos of noise. Group out of Denmark, kind of a post-hardcore vibe. Okay, just 2 songs here, on the longer side though. What's in the tags? Black Gaze, post-hardcore, post-metal. Got this moody part in the middle here. Or not in the middle. First third. Intriguing artwork. Oh, there's like hairs in the background too. It's very... Oh, there's like a vague shadow of, I feel like, a person back there too. On first glance, it seems like kind of a boring artwork, but the more you look at it, the more kind of eerie it becomes. Yeah, they've got that very despairing quality that I love in this genre. Appropriate artwork too, this very gray background. I see a lot of pictures of Denmark that look like that. I can see why so much like sad and depressing, miserable sounding music comes out of Scandinavia, which, don't get me wrong, I think it's beautiful too. Like, that is number 1 on my bucket list, is to visit some areas there, and I love that vibe too. So, not an insult, just an observation. Maybe that's why I find myself in Portland, where at least half of the year it's very rainy and gray. Yeah, I love the atmosphere, the mood. These melodies are very stirring. Definitely, again, something not best experienced in this format, but again, I just want to give you a little taste. Just give you that little taste to get you hooked, so that you come back for more. And as always, all of these bands and the links to these albums will be in the description, so you can find them all there for easy access. I also link the playlist at the end, too, of this entire series, because I do one of these every month. Really glad people have been enjoying them, too. But yeah, I think you get the idea. That is Vægtløs with Kakofoni. We have the return of Ashbreather. That could be their stoner equivalent. But yeah, Ashbreather is back with Hivemind. We previously covered Ow My Eye, which I said it seemed like it was going to be like a joke, but it was actually really good. So we'll see if they can keep that momentum going. Cool cover. I didn't even realize this thing is like a bigger creature underneath this thing. This guy's out of Montreal, Quebec. Vibes. Just a single, again. Art rock, atmospheric sludge, avant-garde, lots of cool things in the tags. Interesting picture, too. Oh, I'm an idiot. This is a 37-minute... This is not a single. Excuse me. Tell me to shut the fuck up. This is a... It's a single track, but it is 37... almost 38 minutes. So, I'm just gonna kind of jump around in here and see how much ground these guys cover in that time. Got some samples in here. Ooh, that's like a sick kind of vibe riff. A little Mastodon here too. I can't remember all the things I compared them to before. I have a hard time, I will say, and they may not care about this and that's fine, but I am always one who is put off by the long single track albums. I prefer when it gets subdivided into like movements, at least, kind of like Insomnium did with Winter's Gate, if I'm remembering that name right. But appropriately though, these guys I guess were originally like a Opeth tribute, and then they started creating originals, so you can definitely see the influence of that as well. But yeah, when I receive promos for, you know, like 40-plus minute one-track albums, it's a little daunting for me. And I think it'll probably put off a lot of potential listeners too, but I wish it didn't, but that's just the way that it works. So just one consideration, maybe break it into some smaller movements. You can still make it one continuous thing. It sounds like there's a lot of cool stuff going on in here. It's a little even like primacy kind of energy in here, a little bit of like Phantomus and Tomahawk, weirder Mike Patton project kind of stuff. Yeah, it's harder when I'm jumping around this whole fucking album, too. And this dropped November 11th as well. But definitely something I'd want to kind of sit down and enjoy from start to finish. So yeah, Ashbreather with Hivemind. Alright, then we have Earthrise with Until We Rest Beneath the Winter Way, out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Check out the... Dude looks a little bit like Thomas from At the Gates. Cool kind of psychedelic, trippy album art. Tags say doom, experimental, hardcore, metalcore, all over the place. Definitely getting some like sludgy, sludgecore kind of vibes. This is a cool cover too. Yeah, those big bellowing... I call them like seafarer vocalists, because I always picture people like up on the rafters of the ship, like shouting up about whales and shit. These big burly dudes with beards. Got some moody kind of melodic sections here too. Yeah, it's cool when bands trick me too. Like, I look at this cover and I would have guessed this is some like weird proggy, jazzy kind of thing. Well, this is cool. Well, kind of like ambience, not the right word, but a bit more atmospheric. There's a band called like the Moth Giver or something like that. Reminds me a little bit of that. Got some longer tracks again too. Oh, we got some clean vocals. I could recommend this also probably to fans of they dropped an album, I can't remember if it was last year or earlier this year, but they kind of mix similar styles. Yeah, this is a doomier kind of track too. Yeah, definitely a kind of like good things come to those who wait kind of album, it seems like. You gotta have a level of patience that I don't always have, to be perfectly honest. And that's an insult to me, not to the creators of the music. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Another thing I'd be interested in checking out. This came out in October, like mid-October. Yeah, cool stuff. That is Earthrise with Until We Rest Beneath the Winter Way. Then we have Mortem Obscuram with In the Absence of Light. I believe this is just a single. Cool cover. I'm guessing tech death, prog death. It's out of Florida. Orchestral tech death metal. Yep. Not surprised. Remind me quite a bit of another orchestral tech death project that came out a couple of years back. Definitely got the artisan era vibe to it. Lots of bands on that roster with this kind of sound. I love how every time I turn the camera on, I'm like blanking on like other bands I want to shout out in comparison. A little bit of the Black Dahlia Murder in there, but mixing with this more orchestral elements. But there's other ones that are closer to this. Sounds pretty rad. It's got that wonky bass too. Like those very kind of whimsical in a way. Lots of different influences coming together here. Well, if they list any influences or the tags or anything. No. But yeah, get with Malcolm, who runs the Artisan Era, and guitarist for Infuri. You seem like the type of stuff he's really into. A little bit, you could argue, there's like a little touch of Obscura in there, a little Infuri, a little... God damn, nothing's coming to me. Hang on, I'm gonna pause to get this. Okay, so a couple things on here. Reminded me of A Loathing Requiem, which is also with Malcolm. It's kind of a solo project. Equipoise, Demon King to an extent too. Inanimate Existence was one that I was trying to think of too. There's one that's even closer to, and I don't think they are on the Artisan Era, but yeah, those were some of the bands I was thinking of. But in any case, sorry for the interruption. I just think it sounds pretty rad. Something I'd definitely be interested to hear how the whole album plays out, because I do find some of these albums start to feel kind of samey, and they also sound very similar to each other, so... Main piece of feedback, I think, how can you stand out from everyone else? But very cool. That is, again, Mortem Obscuram with In Absence of Light. Another single here, we have Glora with Paralysed. It's out of Brisbane, Australia. It's a cool take on that style photo. Painted album cover. Eerie, ghostly stuff. I think we're going more post-metal? No, black metal. Black metal, black and death metal. So we got kind of a moody intro here and then into it. Some Wada Nagua vibes. Mixing that black metal with some some groove and death metal. Good atmosphere, good production. Like the choice of melodies. Kind of infectious, I will definitely say. I like this. Kind of gets stuck in your head for sure. Ooh! Fun little start-stop riff with the consistent hi-hat. That's fun. Again, just giving you a taste, a little taste, so you can go check out, listen to it all the way through for yourself. Again, links down in the description. Yeah, I dig this. Another thing I'd be interested to hear the full album. It seems like these guys might be capable on taking you on a journey. I will say, if you're going 5 minutes a track, and this is just me, because I know other people who like this style who think totally differently, but I'd say, if you're going 5 minutes a track, start small, do like 5 or 6 tracks. Don't overdo it. Less is more. Is that a little saxophone at the end there? A little subtle one? Yeah, that's cool. Again, that is Glora with Paralysed. Then we have Chaos Over Cosmos with A Dream, if there ever was one. It's out of Poland. Sounds like we're back to some tech deathy stuff. More like sci-fi vibes, too. Thinking a lot of that this year. It's out November 9th. Ooh. Cooking it with this one. Damn. Shredding it up. Yeah, kind of some sort of cyber metal influences here. They call themselves progressive metal. Ooh, yeah, they even have shredding in the tags. Appropriate. Holy shit. That's dope. Another band, longer songs. So when I sit down, if I get a chance to sit here and listen through this all the way through, be curious if this level of... Holy shit. That's some like neoclassical kind of Yngwie Malmsteen kind of shit right there. But the thing is, can they carry that for 7.5 minutes, truly? Or does it get old? And beyond that, can they then carry that into multiple songs that are even longer? But piece by piece, it clearly talented guys. It seems like they want to go toe-to-toe with like Children of Bodom and shit. Yeah, y'all, whoever... I don't know if this is a band or a solo project. Restless guitar, Polish guitar player Raphael Bowman. So Raphael, my hats off to you, my dude. Like, you fucking know how to play. The question is, do you know how to also translate those insane riffs into good songwriting too? It sounds pretty good. Whew. Yeah, because it's not just shredding either. Like, it's riffs. Like, it's hooks. Be interested to hear... Nick Nocturnal popped into my mind listening to this, too. Maybe I should try shooting this his way. See what he thinks. As a guitar player. He might be interested. Vocalist is Casey Lyon. That name sounds familiar, too. Yeah, this sounds pretty rad. I'm not gonna lie. Again, I don't know if they can hold my attention. That's the challenge. But I am very impressed with the guitar riffing. So again, that is Chaos Over Cosmos with A Dream If There Ever Was One. Then we have Vicissitude with Neolithic Necrocannibals. That's a fun title that rolls off the tongue. Nice little minimalist cover here. Out of New Zealand, home of Ulcerates. Released October 14th. A couple of latecomers on here, but that's on me. I'll cover anything, anytime. Okay, so we're going for this more like cavernous death metal vibe. That sort of abyssal... Actually, no, I'd argue this is more like Vermin Womb. It's got that cardboard bass drum, too. It always makes me think of Gorgoroth, Under the Sign of Hell. I don't think this one slaps it like wet. It's not the wet cardboard sound, it's more like dry cardboard here. Yeah, not an insult. Like, that can work. It's such a funny thing, but those kind of shitty sounds can add a quality to something. This little groove to this one. Very doomy. But then obviously they've got those, like, faster parts too. Yeah, definitely something I could see sharing a stage with Primitive Man or Vermin Womb. Yeah, very kind of raw production style, which in this case I think works pretty well for what they're doing. I do have an issue again where it does feel like there's some like peaking issues that sort of take me out of the vibe. And as you can tell, I'm not a producer because I've come up with these stupid fucking terms that I'm sure they're actual terms for, but I just pick up things here and there and probably use them incorrectly. Yeah, sounds pretty rad though. If you just want something gnarly and raunchy and gross. Sounds like they're just like beating like an old corpse. It's like gore and viscera splattering everywhere. Caveman shit. Good shit. Yeah, that is Vicissitude with Neolithic Necrocannibals. Alright, next up we have Heiden and Andzjel. Let's check this out. Meant to cover this in the last one, but it slipped by me. It's an interesting cover. These guys are out of the Czech Republic. Kind of like a psychedelic black metal kind of vibe. Atmospheric black metal, post-metal, progressive black metal. I like the like spooky kind of almost theremin sounding backing instrumentation in that part. Got a chill little break here. Got this spooky little almost sci-fi sounding effects. I like it. Not maybe as aggressive as Veil Burner, but it's got some similar vibes. And also, there's another kind of psychedelic black metal band I really enjoy that's getting some vibes from. Name escapes me, as usual. I dig this. What was that other band I covered this year? Grozix or Gorix? I think it's Gorix. They're more kind of like minimalist, sort of less is more sort of approach. Like, I really like that because there's just so many bands doing that, like punchy in the face wall of sound. Kind of like Glora does that, and it's just like, it's so overbearing sometimes. And to me, atmosphere requires some level of restraint. And I think that works better. Yeah, this is cool. I like this kind of like proggy guitar work here too. A little bit enslaved in there with the little like Hammond organ in the background too. Yeah, this is really cool. I need to spend a little bit more time with this one. Fortunately, at time of recording this, I've already completed all of my best of the year lists. They are done and done. But this does sound like something that honestly could have made the black metal list, so definitely worth checking out. I will definitely be downloading this for a more intensive listen. But yeah, that is Heiden with Andzjel. Then we have Karpackonaut with Distant Sequence. It's out of Ireland. I feel like it's been a little while since we got something out of Ireland. What we got here? Experimental doom, improvised noise rock, post metal. Another interesting cover here. It's interesting. We have this kind of like high res, like space black hole type deal, but then we have this really kind of low quality, sort of like kids book cutout rocket ship. Seems like very take its time kind of music here. Big long build-ups. Very sort of 90s sounding guitars too. Definitely mood. Yeah, this definitely has kind of like this older kind of mentality to the songwriting. A little like even like Fugazi stuff in there. By the way, it still trips me out calling it Fugazi because for the longest time I heard it called Fugazi, but I believe the correct pronunciation is Fugazi. Because that word actually does mean something. I'm forgetting now. Some really chill parts here. Also, memories of going to like local shows in Chicago and just seeing like local, often like largely instrumental bands just kind of do their thing on stage. There's one I really loved called Anesthetic, which you can find some of their stuff on Bandcamp. But yeah, they were a trio I really enjoyed and was buddies with. I think was he the bass player? I think he was. Yeah, big atmospheric mood music here. Kind of. This one sounds kind of harrowing. I do hear kind of like that distant, like isolated in space kind of vibe to it. That in space no one can hear you scream deal. Yeah, pretty cool. Karpackonaut with Distant Sequence. Alright, the return of Narrenwind, who I've covered before. I believe they ended up on like my best black metal list. This is Mona Turbo Lisa. They are a Norwegian black metal band. Another one I'd say kind of that more sort of minimalist approach that I like. And nice enough to send me a shirt that you may have seen me wear in a few videos as well. So my hat's off to them. I got this kind of late in the month, so it kind of made it harder for me to put it on the best of the month list or anything like that. Especially these holiday months. Everything's a little bit more crammed for time. But yeah, I really like their style. The vocals here actually, that remind me a little bit of like Till from Rammstein. Sort of whispery vibes to that. Yeah, very like chill, but also like always with this underlying sense of kind of unease and eeriness. Maybe a little bit menacing too. Which I think comes through stronger with more subtlety, as opposed to just constantly being in your face, even though I like that music too. Like, you get so much more texturing, and you can hear all the instruments coming through. They're not fighting for attention in the recording space. Like these little snare rolls, too. Yeah, more of that kind of, like, nightmarish, psychedelic kind of vibe to it as well. Oh, I thought so, too. Yeah, they're split Norway and Poland. Because I do remember calling them a Polish project before. I really like their little logo with the key too. These candle fingers. It's all on the shirt. It's from their previous album. Yeah, it's just a 4-song EP, but another one I want to dig into a little bit more deeply. This is the stuff I try to push out. Like, you know, there's so much black metal out there, but so much of it is just paint by numbers to me. I want people to check out these kind of more avant-garde out there bands that are doing something a little bit different. little more memorable. A little kind of organ there too. Yeah, very, very interesting. This melody here, this section almost has like a David Bowie vibe to it, which is weird to say, but that's what's coming to mind for me. But yeah, that is Narrenwind with Mona Turbo Lisa. We also have the return of Chestcrush. I've been jamming this one a bit, so I have listened to this one in full. It's an Edinburgh, UK band. Previously covered this release, Delignia, however the heck you pronounce that. But this is Apechtheia. That's the closest I'm gonna get. It's funny because this band speaks the same language as me, but have some of the hardest pronunciations regardless. More kind of spooky, atmospheric, sort of more blackened death metal for them, I would say. Extreme metal, ambient and drone elements. Very imposing, a little bit more aggro than those last bands. But not without their own sense of subtlety and restraint where it's most effective too. That's a fun little picture there. Like the cover. Another one, just 3 songs, but they're longer, on the longer side, so it's almost as long as some full lengths, honestly. You know, we're what, like just shy of 30 minutes, somewhere around there. Okay, good like groove in there too. Good head bobbing music. Very sort of hypnotic and heavy at the same time. That's more of like a mayhem riff mixed in there too. And that's something I like about them. There's a certain eclecticism to their style. Covers a lot of different ground. Yeah, kind of like this black metal sort of atmosphere and vibe, but with a lot more than that coming to the table. And then quite a bit of this last long track is like full-on ambient. I can't remember. Yeah, it's just straight up ambient for like 10 minutes. So that may or may not be something you're into. But yeah, if you really take the time, like, it's good, that kind of like Silent Hill eerie mood music. But yeah, always glad to hear from Chestcrush, and that is Apechtheia. Then we have Von Doom with Admonitions of Time, out of our own Portland, Oregon. Self-described melodic death metal. I hear quite a bit of like 2000s metalcore though, the stuff that spawned from melodic death metal. Now listening to this, like, I think the musicianship is pretty solid. I've already sampled this a little bit. I do think the production is really thin. And I feel like melodic death metal deserves a bit more, I don't know, a fuller sound. And so that may or may not be something that's accessible to you at this point. But this guitar work, that's really good stuff. I mean, it reminds me of In Flames, Killswitch Engage. Great soloing. Like, I feel like there's a great performance here, but it's not being fully given its due because the production is so kind of paper thin. Everything feels so compressed. And so I'd be interested to hear, I'll bet live too these songs sound even better. But yeah, and the vocals just sound so like compacted. So I feel like I'm hearing this really cool performance, but I'm hearing it through like a tin can, almost. So if you want feedback, which I try to give on these two, I was a little light on it with the last few, because I feel like, honestly, they were kind of right where they needed to be. But I think that's my biggest note here is work on the production a little. You know, I'm not expecting to have money for like a big fancy studio and hours of time there, but look into options and see how you can get a more full sound, a little bit more bass ends. Yeah, again, as far as the instrumentation goes, it sounds pretty cool. Sounds like something that'd be right up my alley, because melodic death metal and metalcore in the 2000s, that was my shit. Like, that was kind of like my big transitional points away from nu metal, which I still do enjoy, but nu metal was like my start, and then this was sort of what got me into much heavier stuff over time. We've got some guest spots on here too. I'm forgetting how I know these names, but Angel Vivaldi especially sounds familiar. But yeah, that is Von Doom with Admonitions of Time. Then we have Epectase with Necroses out of France. A lot of kind of blackened sounding stuff today. Sonic catharsis in their details. I like that. Very simple album cover. Cool instrumentation. Yeah, this is more... Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of like kind of almost jazzy and experimental, which is in the tags. Black metal groups today. Yeah, this seems interesting. More long compositions too. 13.5 minutes for this one. Yeah, another 4-song EP, but with really tracks on the longer side. A little bit of that like weird Paralysed kind of vibes. Those sort of atonal guitars and sections. Very haunting and kind of unnerving. Whenever you get those more discordant sounding guitars, it kind of like activates something in my lizard brain. Cool guitar opener there. That was a little bit more mellow deathy. Yeah, there's a good mix here of kind of like more wall of sound approach, but then also being able to dip back and kind of linger in the shadows and slink around, like, yeah, right here. Good ups and downs. Reminds me a little bit of like Dreadnought too, in a weird way. You know, obviously it's not nearly as like jazz focused as them, but just similar energy. But I feel like Dreadnought has like really departed a lot from their metal elements the further you get into their discography. Oh, this is like straight doom. Interesting. Yeah, this seems like quite a ride here. Another album that definitely feels like it needs to be experienced from start to finish, not something you just want to pull clips from. So that said, go check it out. As Epectase with Necroses. Then we have Blood of the Wolf with 4, the Declaration of War Eternal. Sounds like we're going for a complete switch here. Off of Core Pain Gore Death Productions. Yeah, we're really taking a left turn here, back into just some aggressive, almost grindy death metal. Those last few bands were kind of the I don't know, the like fine dining experience. This is the 3 a.m. fast food meal after a night of heavy drinking. And there's room for both, especially here on this channel. I am a fan of each. I just, when it comes to best of the best, when it comes to like my top lists, I just tend to lean more towards the more unique and strange stuff. It's doing something different. But I like to bang my head too, so no qualms with that. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, just aggressive, hard-hitting death metal. What do you want? A little brutish too. This is that kind of like caveman kind of stuff. But yeah, that is Blood of the Wolf with 4 Declaration of War Eternal. Then we have the return of Boar with Crisis Actor in tow for This Will Not End Well. Boar is a New York band we've covered previously. Very kind of hardcore leaning, mathcore kind of stuff. Another one of those like underground bands in this scene that I really love. I love this cover too. That's so like late 90s, early 2000s mathcore scene. It's sort of like Zao vibes I get from that cover. Little psyopacey. I'm gonna make that into a adjective. Kind of guitars. Yeah, you know, Botch, early Norma Jean, that kind of vibe. Yeah, awesome group. Love Boar. Another band that was cool enough to send me a shirt. I've worn in a couple videos. Oh yeah, they do a Sweet Pea cover from System of a Down's first album, my personal favorite. It's a ballsy move because you can't really beat System of a Down because no vocalist really sounds quite like Serge. But for like a kind of like mathcore-ish cover, it's fun. And then we've got Crisis Actor as well, who also, I'd say, fall into a similar category. This is a very botched sounding guitar riff here. In fact, it sounds a lot like something off of We Are Romans, or also certain tracks off of Norma Jean's fucking second album. There's like a particular riff on there that it really reminds me of. But that whole album was inspired heavily by Botch, so that makes sense. Yeah, man, I miss this era of mathcore and metalcore. Like, some of it's coming back, but it was just like such a prominent part of the scene back then, and I just find it to be so much more interesting than all the gent that took over. And I like gent, I've said that before, plenty of gent bands I enjoy, but it just doesn't have the same character and, frankly, nostalgia, too, I'll say that, of this stuff. So yeah, great little split to check out. Boar, Crisis Actor, This Will Not End Well. And then we have Flender with Precious Essence. Getting a little silly here. Flender Meifter. We got a Texas, kind of a early Primacy vibe so far. Avant rock, experimental, Fiend Wave, or Flend Wave? Is that something they made up, or is that a real thing? I'm guessing it's just derived from their name. Yeah, very weird Mr. Bungle, Primus kind of stuff. What a weird vocals. Oh, I didn't even realize it was going to be like that. Like that. I mean, this is another thing that would have fit nicely on my Weirdest Bands video, which you should definitely check out. Looking forward to doing more of those. That was a fun video, glad people really enjoyed it. Wish more people would watch these, especially all the way through, because this is the bread and butter. Again, this whole channel was designed to push the most obscure, talented stuff out there that is flying under the radar. Yeah, this definitely tickles my fancy, sort of for my pre-metal years when I was listening to a lot of Q101 in Chicago, and they would play stuff like Butthole Surfers. Shit, what was the name of that? Bloodhound Gang. And then Primus. They wouldn't play Mr. Bungle, but they would play some of the weirder songs from Faith No More. Definitely reminding me of that era. Another big formative part of my musical taste, I would say. But yeah, fun stuff. That is Flender with Precious Essence. Alright, y'all, I think that's enough for this month. Thank you, as always, for watching these segments. It's really one of my favorites. Check out this playlist for plenty more of these. Let me know down in the comments also, like, which was your favorite this week. Go forth, listen, buy these, give these talented bands your money, and I will see you in the trenches.